Hello everybody and welcome to another lab series video. Today's video is going to be about signature capture. There's a couple of different ways that signature images can be retrieved from BlockChyp, including kind of the standard default way that you don't have to really think about, and options that can get a little more complicated if you just want to do unconventional things in your system. So I have a terminal paired with the gateway. I have it synced up with one of our QA accounts. And I have here the BlockChyp command line interface all set up. So I'll be doing the demos with the command line interface, but in your situation, you could be using an SDK, you could be doing a direct REST integration, but I'll just start with the basic CLI. So when I scroll back, I have a transaction that will execute a charge transaction on the terminal. Terminal's called test terminal, amounts $50, and we have the test flag set in order to make sure that it routes it to the test API. So I'll go ahead and run that, and you will see the terminal wake up and ask me to present a card. I'll put in a test card with a CVM of signature, so that will automatically prompt me for a signature. Okay, and it asks me to sign. I'll just do a little scribble here and hit done. It's approved. I'll remove the card. So now if I go in here and I refresh the dashboard, I'll see my transaction. And now I can see the transaction details. You can see all the basic information about it, including the EMV tags down here if you're interested in that sort of thing. But if you want to actually retrieve the signature, all you have to do is click Inspect, and now you'll see the signature image right here in your browser. So if your interest in signatures is just that you need to make sure you're archiving them so that they can be retrieved later for fraud investigations or for whatever might happen, then this should be sufficient and really kind of all you need to do. But in some situations, you may want to get access to the signature images directly at the time of authorization. Maybe you already have a process in place where you're pulling signatures back and storing them as part of your point-of-sale solution, whatever it is you're doing. And so we do provide options for doing that through the API, but you get this by default. You don't have to think about it. So one option is if I were to take this CLI interface and add SIG file to it, and this also exists in all the SDKs and APIs, or SIG format rather, and I can pick one of 3 different formats. I can pick PNG, JPEG, or GIF, or GIF, depending on how you say it. I'm going to do PNG since I like PNG. And I will go ahead and run that same transaction again. This time I'm going to use a mag stripe, and just to show some different stuff. I'll do another scribble for my signature, hit done. That one's approved. And now you can see in my response that I get this big giant pile of hex. And so this is the file, this is the PNG file encoded as hex, so you can pull it out of the system. Another option you have is to scale the image. So you can pull this out of JSON and save it off to your system, and you're good. But you can also scale it before you do this. Now, the Lux 8500i terminals, these signatures are going to come back with a width of about 800 pixels. So if that's too big or you just want it to be a little bit smaller, you can change that by just adding another parameter here called sig width. Okay, so I'll set this to something a little smaller, maybe 600 pixels. And then I'll do the same transaction again. And I'll swipe it. Do a little scribble here. Hit done. It's approved. Now I'll go look in my merchant dashboard. Let's verify it. There it is. Signature is there. Now let's look at the response that came back. And there you can see the response came back. Same deal. I've got some hex here, but if we were to compare the amount of hex, it'd probably be slightly less. So this is a good option if you happen to want to get the hex in the JSON response, if that's more convenient for you. But most of you would probably rather have a file here and not have this hex cluttering up your JSON response. So to make that work, all you would do, and I'll go ahead and remove sig width this time, you keep sig format. I'll change to JPEG this time just for fun. And I'll add a sig file option. And I'll call the file sig.jpg. And I'll run another transaction. Again, I'm getting prompted for a signature. I'll hit done. It's approved. And now you can see the response looks pretty much the same as if I hadn't requested a signature. I don't have any hex in here or anything, any file information. But if I were to look on my file system, there's the file. So if I do open .sig. I'm on a Mac here, so your mileage may vary. Hit open.sig. You can see this image is now in my local file system. So that's the basics of signature capture. There's not much more to it than that. Again, we recommend that you use it, that you do it through that you just sort of stick with the default behavior, because then it's not incumbent upon you to store any of this stuff or translate or interpret it or any of that stuff. You can just let us sort of handle it. Another thing, if you want to turn signature capture off, maybe for some reason you're using paper signatures, or just for whatever reason you don't want our system to prompt the user for signatures, you can turn that off in your merchant profile settings. You go over here, you go to terminal settings, and you just basically uncheck this digital signature option. And the next time your terminal picks up a settings update, which is within an hour usually, you'll get it'll turn that off and it'll stop happening. But usually you want to keep this on so you've got good signatures in here. And just to go back over the basic details, if you want to audit or go look at a signature, what you do is you open up the transaction in our system. Over here, it'll tell you if there's a signature on file. You click Inspect, and then you can look at it. It's really that simple. Thanks, everybody, for watching the lab series, and we'll see you next time.